Good morning, everybody. If I were to ask you, are you old? I'm sure that most of you would not be raising your hands. But if I were to ask you, is your marketing old? I think we'd see a lot more hands go up. So the question is, if you're not old, why should your marketing be? And that's what we're here to talk about today. My name is Sharon Berman, and my company is Berbay, Marketing and Public Relations, and we create the visibility and revenue that fuel revenue growth. You know, the genesis of this webinar is that over the last few years, quite often we've had phone calls and conversations with lawyers and other professionals who've been in the profession working at it for several decades, 20, 25 years, 30 years, successful, experienced, they've paid their dues, and they have the gray hairs to prove it, and they've called to say that they were very frustrated because young professionals, what they might call kids, young professionals just out of law school, a few years out, 3 to 5 years, were diverting the leads, the prospective clients that they thought should be theirs, that they felt entitled to. And I don't use that in a pejorative sense. They paid their dues, that they felt that they were entitled to this business, but it was being diverted by what we call in marketing digital natives, people who've grown up on the web. And these people, these young professionals, they may not have the legal experience, they may not have the depth of experience in terms of the professional world, but they know how to market online. And if they don't know how to market online, they know enough to get somebody to help them market online, and they are diverting business. And so we've had this conversation over and over, and it really made me feel like, I mean, when you meet these people, they're just like you. They are young, in quotes. They may not be 22, but they're young, they're vital, they're going to be working for a while, they have a lot of life left, and it's frustrating to them to see what they think is theirs be diverted. The other side of that, the other aspect of that is still a lot of resistance. I mean, they're not coming to us and saying, I have no idea why this is happening. They know it's happening because their marketing is behind the times, because their marketing is old, while they may not be. There's a lot of resistance to doing what it takes to come up to speed and then let alone gain that competitive edge. So what we want to talk about today is how do you keep your marketing as young, as useful, as energetic as you are. Okay, now you might recognize these people. We have, of course, Sonny and Cher. And what I'd like you to think about is the fact that when this photo was taken, it was au courant. It was of the time. It was of the moment. It's a snapshot. When they took this was hip, slick, and cool. But time has passed, and we look back at it and we go, oh my God, can you look at that mustache? I mean, and we have to think with your marketing, it's the same thing. The marketing you have today, which may be dated, was never intentionally dated, right? When you got it up, it was like, oh, it's brand new and shiny. It's just that you might not have kept up. Your attention was diverted. So it's really a matter of thinking about the fact that, okay, we were with it then, and now how do we get back up to speed with that? Okay, so now, you're not old, right? You spend a lot of time and energy making sure that you're not old, right? So what are the things that you're doing? You're fit, right? Let's take a look at this picture here. We'd all like to be going this strong. You're fit, you work out. There are a lot of professionals who are Ironman triathletes, so you put a lot of time and energy into that. You eat healthy, right? If you may have had a Big Mac last night, but you do know that leafy green vegetables are supposed to be good for you. Spend a lot of time on your appearance in terms of clothing, image, whether you're male, female, that's still something that you keep in mind. Hair, maybe you have your hair colored, haircuts. You want to stay, and you are staying with the times on that. You're hip on tech, right? You have your phone. You may not be a gadget, have gadget mania, but you have your phone, you use different apps, you use Uber, you do your banking online. So, you keep up with that. And you may have even had work done. So, work in quotes. So you've spent a lot of time, energy, and money on keeping yourself up to date. the key is that you have to make that kind of investment when it comes to your marketing, because just as fashions change so quickly today, there's so much that has changed in marketing. And what has changed? Okay, number one, client expectations have changed, right? Client expectations that you're going to get back to them, that you are on the ball when it comes to technology, that you're not going to be sending things in handwriting, you're you're going to be getting back to people. If people haven't heard from you in, within 5 hours, they're wondering what happened. Their expectations, especially if you are targeting tech people or biotech people or people in those fields, that everything about you, including all of your marketing, is going to reflect the fact that you get it. You get what their industry is about. Tracking capability has changed. We can track so much more today in terms of, especially online, what page did people come in on? How long did they stay there? Did they make a phone call? Where did that phone call come in from? And you can also track so much more. When did they first get in your system? Do you have them in your system from a seminar a year or two ago, and then they visited the website 18 months later, and then what did they do? Then did they call? So the tracking capability has changed so much more. This is really key. There's a shortened marketing life cycle, and I think a lot of professionals have trouble recognizing this and accepting it. It used to be when we talked to a client about they wanted a new brochure, or whether it was a website, okay, I want this to be able to last 5 years, or some along those lines. And they'd say, I don't want pictures of the, of the firm in it because people come and go, and this has to last for a long time. Well, that's not the way it is anymore. I mean, when it comes to websites, when it comes to all of your image, things that reflect your image, you have to be looking at a timeline of 18 to 24 months max. 24 months if you can get there. 18 months, it's already looking like, oh my God, this is, we got to refresh this. So I think that's one of the key aspects. People say, well, we just did our website a few years ago. Well, that was a few years ago. It's totally different today. So that's something to keep in mind. It is the cycle gets shorter and shorter. Marketing today is much more integrated. The pieces are more interwoven. There's a marketing fabric. And if you pull one thread, you're going to take apart the whole thing. Social media plays into public relations, plays into everything else you're doing, your offline stuff, whether you're doing a seminar or whether you're doing a direct mail piece. That is totally integrated and interwoven with everything that happens online. You want to drive people online through your offline stuff. You can't just say, well, I want to just do public relations. You can just do public relations, but you're losing a lot of the value by not integrating it into your social media, or you're losing the power if you just publish an article and it just sits there. So marketing today is much more integrated. You may have heard this, content is king. It's packaging, and I'll be using this term over and over, it's taking what you know, all your experience, your thoughts, and packaging it in a way that so that you can use it on your website, this content on your website, use it through the distribution channels of social media, and engage with your client and prospective clients. And more than anything, the digital world offers firms of every size the opportunity to level the playing field. A small firm does not have to remain small on the web, and for a relatively small amount of money, you can grab a lot of share. You can create a larger footprint that reflects everything that your firm is in terms of experience, success, wisdom, and unfortunately, that's not what a lot of firms do. So, but that's what one of the other opportunities we have in marketing. Okay, so if you're listening, I'm going to just hold on one second. Okay, so you're not old. We've established it. You're just older. You're older than the 22-year-olds. Okay, maybe you're 22 listening, but a lot of people listening are most likely older than that. So you're not old, you're just older, but that brings a lot of benefits, a lot of things that you can really leverage when it comes to marketing in terms of reinvigorating your marketing. Number one, it brings in experience. You know, experience, if you look at some of the definitions of experience, it's a particular instance of personally undergoing something. That is so powerful, because what that means is you've lived longer, you've been working longer, you've undergone a lot more longer. You've seen so many more clients than somebody who hasn't been doing this, who's been doing it 20 years less. You've seen so many more instances and so many more challenges and so many more solutions. And that's one thing, I think, you know, we see that word so much, experience. But when we think about what it is and how to break it down, there's so much that you can work with, okay? There's also what I call duckability. And people in the office were trying to Google this and couldn't find it. It's not a word, it's my own word. There's more, I call it duckability because water rolls off ducks' backs. And to me, it's like if you've been doing this longer than you have thicker skin, right? Things don't faze you as much. You don't get it, you might just, something that might throw somebody younger is something that you can just handle because you've seen it so much more. So you have what I'll call duckability. And that gives you a more solid foundation. You're not buffeted around about as much. You know, client reactions may not impact you the way they did when, you know, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, in terms of you're much more solid in the way you can deal with challenges and you know, client expectations and things like that. Much more perspective, much broader perspective that comes with experience. It's when they talk about that 300-degree perspective, it literally is being able to see things from different angles because you've been at different angles throughout your work, your career life. And that brings wisdom. And I know you might say, oh, okay, come on, wisdom, you know, I'd rather be 20 years younger. But if you're not, there's wisdom, and there's a lot that we can do with that wisdom. The quality of having experience, knowledge, good judgment, prudence, circumspection. Think about that. Think about that compared to when you started out in your career. I mean, did you have the circumspection you have now? Did you have the good judgment you have now? Did you have, and had you demonstrated it? Do you have the prudence? I mean, there's a lot that can be packaged with this, and that can really be integrated in terms of reinvigorating your marketing. Okay, well, let's talk about, those are the benefits. We also have, how do you know that your marketing mindset is aging? Here are the signs that maybe you're working from old mores, from outdated mores. Maybe your mentor, when you started out, said this is the way it is, but it's no longer the way it is. Okay, I'm not a salesperson. Okay, I went to law school to study law, or I went to, you know, get my CPA license, not to be a salesperson. We are all salespeople today. I don't care what you're doing. You know, somebody used to say, the exception are government people. I don't think that's even true, okay? We are all selling something along with our profession. All right. No one will look for a lawyer or CPA or financial services professional on the web. Okay, that's not true. That's just the bottom line. That's not true. And it changes every day that people, and we all know that even if they don't Google, you know, project finance attorney, the first thing they're going to do when they get a referral is to check you out on the web. And one of the things you need to remember is that that is the first impression somebody has of you. I don't care how hip, slick, and cool you are, but if that impression doesn't attract them, entice them, then you're gone. They never find out how hip, slick, and cool you are. So people are looking for professionals on the web. This one I don't hear as much anymore, but I still hear it. And that, okay, we don't need to market because marketing's bad. Okay, we don't need to market. That's for other people. All of our business comes from referrals. Well, first of all, you're marketing to get those referrals, right? It's just, I don't know, there's this, like, you know, negative connotation that, oh my God, somebody needs to market. Yeah. Everybody needs to market, and even if your business is coming from referrals, you're marketing to get those referrals, because today, think about your referral sources. Think about the people who've referred you business for 20 years. There is some young professional knocking on their door right now trying to get in to divert those referrals from you to them. So you need to be always refining and honing and polishing, that relationship. Social media is for kids, not professionals. I think this is changing. We all see more and more professionals on the web. It depends what practice area you're in. It's truer for some than others, but as time keeps marching on very quickly, it's going to be truer for all professionals. I hear this too, and this is just a misunderstanding about, let's say, search engine optimization, SEO, and it should also be used while we did our website. Okay, we did our search engine optimization last year. Search engine optimization, that impacts how high you come up in rankings, and it changes every day, and it's really been changing because of social media. That's not something you do once. It's something you are always working on and fine-tuning and keeping your eye on. But I hear that, oh no, well, we did our search engine optimization last year. We're done with that. Okay, no. All right. We just redid our website a couple of years ago. What do you mean you want me to redo my website or take it? We just redid it. Well, as I said, a couple of years ago is ancient times when you're talking about the web. It's a shortened marketing time frame, and most lawyers, most professionals tend to go conservative when they put their website up. So it's even sort of already not dated, but wasn't cutting edge when it went up. So if you just redid your website, sunk cost, onto the next thing. Think about what you need to do now to make sure it's not dated. Okay. And why do we need to track where leads and business come from? I think more and more firms are understanding the importance of this, but we still hear this, like, why would you need to track where your leads are, your prospective clients, as well as where your business is coming from? Well, my question is, how do you know where to put your money if you don't know where your business is coming from? How do you know what's working online? How do you know if the ads are working if you're not tracking it? So I think in terms of what I envision as cracking open your mind in terms of a marketing mindset, that's something you want to be considering about. Are you tracking where leads and business come from? Okay. So how do you know if your marketing's aging? All right. You don't have a website. Okay, and I know a lot of you are saying, oh, come on, who doesn't have a website? But I sat in a networking meeting with very seasoned professionals a couple of weeks ago, and one lawyer who works with very high-end clients, and she's been practicing 30-plus years, was talking about how she just got her first website up and how she was just, she's a convert, like espousing why you need to have a website. And at the same meeting, I was sitting next to another lawyer who was working on her first website. It wasn't up yet. So and I know because we get calls from people, and of course the first thing we do is Google them, and there's a reason they're calling, because you can't find anything about them on the web or just little sentences here and there. They don't have a website. So you don't have a website. You don't have a business email, and I cringe when I see it, but I still get business cards from lawyers who are may even be with, smaller firms, AOL@AOL.com. And during the holidays, I got a holiday card from somebody we work with who had a @prodigy.net email address. And as I was emailing her to acknowledge the card, I thought, I cannot even believe an email address still works. I mean, who's heard of Prodigy in the last 10 years? And it did work. And then I didn't say anything to her, but 2 weeks later, she had sent out an email saying that she had changed her address to, I think, a Gmail address. If you have an AOL address, okay, at least get a Gmail address that's much more current. All right. You have a first-generation website, or you have a second-generation website. We see this a lot. Now we even see it's more of second-generation websites, but they're 5 years old. You have a website that needs to be redone, reinvigorated, refaced, something to make it look like it reflects who you are. You don't have an online presence. Maybe you have an ancient website. Maybe that's all you have. But if somebody's looking for you online, that's all they're going to find. The website that you have has it's dated. It has a dated look. It has dated image, a dated image. It has dated content. I can't tell you how many websites I go to where the last thing posted under news was in 2013 or 2012, or the copyright date. Even the copyright date will say, 2013. That doesn't reflect the caliber of work that you can do, the caliber of work that you want, the energy that you have, the kind of client you want to attract. It doesn't, that just deters them. And actually, you know, I meant to mention what this No website, just jumping around, this No website, I had the opportunity last year to make a referral to a lawyer. And I talked to this lawyer, and then after I talked to him, I looked for a website and found he didn't have a website. And I thought, you know what, I'm sorry, I cannot make a referral to a lawyer who does not have a website. Not because we're marketing people, but because the person I'm referring him to, how do you have legitimacy without that? So that was an opportunity lost for him. Okay. Getting back to dated look image content, you joined a crowd with everybody, which is great. I give you credit for a first generation LinkedIn profile, but you haven't gone back to it. It's up, and a lot of times we talk with firms, and you know, it's Sally in IT who 7-8 years ago put up everybody's LinkedIn profile, and she's been gone, and nobody knows the password, and nobody's touched it since. I mean, LinkedIn is so powerful, and it comes up so high in search engine rankings that you really want to work that. So those are signs that your marketing is aging. Okay, and also, all right, here we have inflexibility. This is really key today. You have an inflexible website. It's not mobile, it can't be viewed on a phone, or it's very hard to view on a phone, and it's not responsive. It isn't built with responsive design. And I'll show you what those are. But we all know we're looking at everything on our phones, on our iPads, so you have to think about the fact that people are not sitting at their computers or desktops looking at who you are and looking you up. So this is just because some people don't understand. This is or aren't familiar. This is a mobile website, and we've gone a generation beyond this now in terms of responsive design. But here on the left is this is the way your website might come up if somebody looks for it on the phone. Okay, you can see it's not easy to read, right? If you want to find the information, you're scrunching your eyes. It's difficult to find. It's inflexible. On the right, it's the same information, but it's formatted for a mobile phone, so you can find out about the different services, and you can maneuver very quickly. So that's a mobile website. But what today is what you really want. This is better than not having anything, having a mobile site. What you want is you want responsive design. You want your website to automatically format to any device somebody's looking at it on, so that it's easy to read. They can find what they're looking for. They can contact you easily. So when you're redoing your website, when you get to that point, you want to make sure that it's responsively designed. Okay. All right. So what do you want to do to rejuvenate your marketing? What do you need to do? And this is really, this gets back to the conversations I had with these people, these professionals who called us, and from firms all over the country, in terms of, I'm losing leads because it's going to people who are savvier in terms of marketing. They're not savvier in terms of experience. Okay, here are the steps. Let's talk about recognize choice. Number one, you don't have any choice. Okay, you really don't have any choice. You're making a choice of, am I going to get farther and farther behind, or am I going to start doing what it takes? And it's not just one thing. It's marketing, as I said, is integrated. It's a variety of things, but you have to start somewhere, and you have to start by making the choice. I'm going to start on this path. All right. As far as I'm concerned, there's no choice. But okay. You want to reinvigorate your mindset, right? All the things that we talked about. If you think about and be more, as they say, mindful about some of the beliefs, your operating beliefs that, I didn't go to law school to be a salesperson. Nobody's going to look for me online. Those, it isn't the case anymore. You do have to market, and you put all this time and energy into putting forth as vigorous a person as you are in person. You want to think about, how do you do that with your marketing, and put that time and energy into marketing, reinvigorating your mindset. Your mind, right? Your mind is not aging. Your marketing is. Okay. This takes an investment. It takes an investment of time, it takes an investment of money, it takes an investment of patience. There is just absolutely no way around it. You know, you can't run a sale, you don't get instant results, but the results do come, and you will see progress. But you have to acknowledge that this takes an investment. Okay. You need a focused strategy, and you need to focus your execution. There's a lot of opportunity in the digital world. There's a lot of opportunity out there today, but you can go crazy and you can diffuse your energy and you can diffuse your efforts. It has to be very focused. That's why when we talk with lawyers, we talk about, you know, focused niches, you know, focused industries. I was having a conversation with an IP lawyer yesterday, and I understand that you can do, just like litigation, you can litigate for anybody in any industry. You can do copyright work for anybody in any industry. You cannot market to everybody in every industry. All right, that doesn't work. So you need to have a focused strategy and execution, and you want to know who you're targeting and what's important to them. That's really key, or else because you get business in the door one by one. One prospector becomes a client, and then the next one, you don't get them in clumps. So you have to think about who is that one target. That one target in terms of what is let's say, the persona. You know, it doesn't have to be, it can be the specific firm you might be targeting, or the, you know, industry, the company within an industry, but it's also what is that persona of the person you are targeting across the board. Okay. Steps to rejuvenate. Eliminate distraction. This is so key because marketing today is absolutely overwhelming. There's no way around it that you, but you can choose, you can really choose how distracted you want to be by choosing how much focus you have. You can't do everything, and we don't walk into lawyers' offices and say, okay, you need to be on, you know, Twitter and Google Plus and, you know, be doing Snapchat and Vine and all of that. It doesn't work that way, okay? You have to really focus, and we always start with LinkedIn because you can winnow down the others depending on what practice area you're in. Some practice areas, it's great to be on Facebook and to tweet and all of that, but even with that, you want to eliminate distraction. And if you buy into that, I should be on my phone looking at Facebook and LinkedIn all the time, you're distracted. I'm sure you know that. I was telling the story at a meeting the other day. I remember reading, it was probably within the last couple of years, from a woman, about a woman who her profession is social media. That's how she makes her living, is doing social media for people. And she was writing a book. She wanted to write a book. And in order to write the book, she had to withdraw from social media, you know, back off from social media. And she wasn't totally off, but she had to significantly back off because it was too distracting and she couldn't get her book done. So that to me is just a, you know, just demonstrates even people who are in that world all the time can get distracted. So you have to figure out, decide it's going to be 10 minutes a day, it's, you know, a total of 2 hours a week or 1 hour a week. Really limit it and focus it. Okay. Redo or refresh. Excuse me, I'm going to just take a sip of water. Okay. Just talking about your website, about whether to redo or refresh your website, reskin it. I remember talking early on when I started the business, I remember talking with a very high-end designer, and he said, you know, you can always tell a student or somebody who has very little experience in their profession because they only have one answer to something. That's all I know, is they have that one answer to a problem that's presented. And I think about this because it's really, it's really easy to walk in and somebody says, okay, I need to refresh my marketing. It's really easy to walk in and say, okay, redo your website and redo your logo and let's start there. We really try to refrain from that. Not that there are definitely instances where websites need to be redone. That's often the case, but we could be sitting here 6 months from now still debating the look of the home page. So, and that is an easy solution, and that doesn't necessarily, a new website, yes, can really impact the business that comes in the door, but you have to be looking at things more broadly, and you have to look at what's practical. So I guess what I'm saying is we look at, can we work with what's here? Can we reskin what's here? Is your architecture on your website now flexible enough that we can add pages, or we can make this work for now before we jump in and redo a new website? Now, we see a lot of places where it's like, okay, just forget it, let's start over. But you want to evaluate, you know, because at least even starting with let's update the content with what you have now, because you're going to have to update your content no matter what. So look, there are different aspects. For instance, you can take a website that's just done today and keep, if your websites are evolutionary, you're always working on them. So you can look at different aspects of reskinning and refacing and repositioning that can make it last longer, keep it fresh without having to tear it up and start over. And then you reach a point where it's like, okay, we got to tear up and start over. So I want to say there's a spectrum here, whether it's redoing or refreshing, but it's rejuvenating. That is the bottom line, is how are you going to rejuvenate it? Okay. Think about, are you repurposing and repackaging what you're doing? You know, one of the things about having experience is that you have so much depth to draw on that people who've only been in the profession 5 years or whatever don't have, because you've seen so many things, you've seen changes. You're much better at pulling together different aspects of your experience and repackaging them so that they're provocative. And as I said, content is king. You want to be creating that content, whether it's articles, whether it's webinars, whether it's talks, but you want to draw on all that wisdom and experience you have, which can be much more attractive and provocative than just rehashing something else, which somebody else who doesn't have that base needs to do. And then how can you extend it? If you've done an article, how do you turn that into then it's a blog post, and you distribute it via social media, and then maybe it's a webinar, and then it goes on from there. Then maybe it becomes a white paper. So it's like, how do you repurpose and repackage so that you're keeping everything fresh? Okay. Consider delegating and outsourcing, okay? And one of the things, and I understand it, because all of this takes time and effort, and everybody has other things to do. Rejuvenating your marketing, redoing a website, looking at your LinkedIn, your attorney's LinkedIn profiles, things like that. It can look like a Herculean task. You have to break it down, and you can't do it all yourself. And that's what happens is you know, I just heard this expressed at a law firm meeting the other day. It's like, oh my God, it takes so much time and effort. We know we have to redo our website. It takes time and effort. I get it, but you got to delegate that, whether it's your in-house marketing person, whether you use an agency, however you do it, and outsource it, because you can't do it all yourself. And the thing is, it gets stuck on your desk. You need somebody channeling it through and pushing it through. So delegate and outsource. And then track your results, right? What is working? What needs to be redone? Start where you are. Track what you can. It's a perfect time of year to be doing it, because you can start with even just your spreadsheet now, okay? It's January. It's fresh. It's not like we're halfway through the year. Start tracking where leads are coming from. Capture as much information as you can. I understand maybe not every attorney in your firm will participate, but capture what you can. Get the information from those who will participate in terms of letting you know they got a phone call or letting you know they got an email, and centralize that with somebody. Somebody has to be the keeper of the statistics. Okay, so those are 10 steps to consider in rejuvenating your marketing. Now, as I said, marketing takes time, so I always look at it and say, oh my gosh, this is going to take time. If we're all lucky, we're all going to be here 18 to 24 months from now, right? And you could see results in 6 to 12 months, but I chose 18 to 24 months in terms of really things having up and running and really spinning and seeing steady results. It's going to pass. I always say, let's look back. Imagine that you're 18 months down the road, 12 months down. It's 2017 right now. What do you want to have accomplished? You could still be like some of the people we've talked with are still going to be saying, oh, the leads are, they're taking away my leads. Well, you haven't done anything about it, okay? Start doing something about it that reflects who you are today. Okay, so, I know that everybody listening here has business development very high on their list. And I know that you're not old. Nobody listening to this webinar today is old. And I know that after today, your marketing will not be old. So thank you so much for listening today. I want to invite you to attend our next webinars. On February 11th, Megan Braverman, our Senior Account Manager, is going to be recapping the Marketing Partner Forum, which is just concluding today in Florida. She will be recapping. And then on February 25th, we are going to have Lee Brockman and Judith Gordon talking about lawyering and life balance and can they coexist. So we invite you to join us for both of those. More information will be coming out. If you have questions, please email me, give me a call. I'd be delighted to talk with you. And thank you so much for listening.